Hey there everybody, Mark Crilley back with another How to Draw video. Before I do anything else, I want to do a special shout out to the editors of Anime Insider. This is the latest issue. It's in stores right now. And on page 71, there she is. Miki. They've done a little blurb here and you can read the line, "Global manga, Miki Falls, optioned by Paramount." Yes, it's true. We got ourselves a movie deal. Exciting stuff, and that does not necessarily mean there's going to be a real movie. Sometimes these things never quite make it to the big screen, but still, it's very exciting to have the movie deal, and I thought it was kind of cool what they did. You can see they took the cover art from the fourth book in the series and clipped it out and got it into the article. And so thanks to some of, I didn't even know about this, somebody, some of my YouTube viewers pointed out to me, "Hey Mark, look, it's in the new issue of Anime Insider." So thanks to you, I knew about it and ran out to get a copy. Well, let's get on with this video. Get this out of here. I'm going to be doing a video, I've had so many requests to do a video on feet, on how to draw feet. I don't think it's so helpful to be shown how to draw feet in isolation. I think what you really need to know is how to draw them so that they're in proportion and fit onto the body, you know, that you're drawing. And so I've done the entire body of Miki here, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so that you can see the details of the feet as I draw them. I'm also going to try something a little bit different from what I've done in previous videos. But let me just sort of stop the camera and we'll be back to start with the actual drawing. Okay, so I'm going to be testing out a new kind of technique with this video. I've got a separate piece of paper here. The reason I'm doing this is I want you to see how the guidelines are done, the guidelines that would normally be erased. Unfortunately, if I use a pencil like this and do them the way I would normally do them, they don't show up on the video. On the other hand, if I use the black Prismacolor directly on the paper to do rough guidelines, I can't erase any of it. It's just, that's not the kind of pencil that it is. And so I want to try to do both here, show you how rough guidelines get done with the black color, black Prismacolor. But then when it comes to doing the final art on the piece of paper, I'm going to get rid of this and do the guidelines with the pencil that I would normally use. So here we go. I'm going to start sort of putting in the really rough guidelines and talk a little bit about how I'm going to draw the feet attached to Miki. Now, the main thing here is getting a sense of how long the feet should be in relation to the body. And that's why when you're doing rough guidelines, you're not stuck really with any line that you make. You can kind of go back and change your mind. I'm just staying really pretty rough here and putting in kind of like a rough triangular shape. You know, almost anybody could draw this. It doesn't take that much skill. Just to get a sense of how long the foot should be from front to back. Okay, now of course it doesn't look very good right now, but later on I'm going to be able to tighten it up and get the details in. But one thing I want to talk about is how long from front to back should the foot be. It's kind of tricky to work that out. My theory is that measuring from the knee down to the base of the foot, if you measure that distance, the distance from here, the heel to the toe, is going to be a little more than half of that distance. I think if you did exactly half, it might be a little short, maybe just a touch longer than that. Anyway, that gives you some sense of. Now I'm going to move on to the other leg here, and this is kind of a technique that artists use to create a 3D effect of someone standing. You get one foot kind of pointed a little bit out toward the viewer. And again, this is just rough stuff. These are not my final lines, so I don't have to get too uptight about it, but there is going to be a slightly more complicated shape coming out here. Anyone who's tried to draw feet can testify to the fact that as the foot turns toward you, it becomes harder and harder to draw. So this gives you a sense of me starting out in just a rough way. And that I wanted to do it at this distance to show you how I determined the length of each foot in relation. Let's pull all the way back, because this is the way, if you were drawing it, you would be looking at the entire figure. And this is not so much a video about how to draw legs. It's more about only the feet. I may do another video that's about the legs. But as you can see, hopefully, the size of the feet from front to back are hopefully in pretty good proportion to her body. I think when you're doing manga style drawing, you probably will go on the side of making the feet smaller rather than too big. You don't want big clodhopper feet on your feminine looking, hopefully, character. So you probably, if you fear that it's getting that you're either going to go too large or go too small, you'd be better off going too small. Let's zoom in now, and I'm going to start to get into more details. But what I'm going to do at this stage, and I'm not going to do this on camera, I am going to reproduce these rough lines, but do them with a lighter pencil, so that I will be able to erase that later on and have a nice looking drawing at the end of all this. So let's go ahead and zoom on in, and you will see in the next frame pretty much the exact same rough guidelines, except done with a lighter pencil. Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to show you that what I did is I transferred this line work onto here. Now you can't even see it because that's the problem with shooting a video, but as I zoom in closer and closer, those really faint lines will hopefully begin to show up. In a lot of my early videos, I was using the real light guidelines and they didn't show up at all. And people would complain. I said, but at the first minute of your video, I can't see anything. That's because, you know, light guidelines are not meant to be seen that much. It's these dark final lines that will be seen. So let me go ahead. I'm going to have to readjust my tripod to get a good view of this. But from here on out, we can move on to the next step, which is refining these lines and getting them closer to looking like real feet, because obviously right now they look terrible. So I will be right back once we've got this readjusted. All right, so here we go. Part of the reason that I wanted to do it this way is because I think people are getting the wrong idea about this black Prismacolor, and they're like, oh, I got to go out and buy the black Prismacolor and start making drawings with it. This is almost like an inking device for me. A lot of the drawing is being done with more of a normal pencil, which most of you have in your house. I mean, this is, for me, a Dixon Ticonderoga. Any kind of pencil that you're comfortable with will work for doing this kind of light guideline work that helps you find the final lines that you're looking for. Okay, let's start with this foot right here, because it may be slightly easier. If you can see the rough guidelines that I did there, the first thing that I'm going to do is take this line here, which is coming at a pretty good angle. It's not straight up and down, it's just a little bit off to the left, and curve it down as we reach the heel. Okay, this is our first step towards making this look more like a real foot. There's a line coming across the bottom here that follows that original sort of flat triangle line. But when you get to this point right here, the kind of continuation of that line, right here is when it has to kind of bend a little and come down just a bit. And then towards the end, as it reaches near the toe, it curves just ever so slightly back up again. Now the truth is this is even darker than I would normally do, but I want it all to show up nice and clean on the video. So I'm going to move now to this other line of the foot, and what you're really focusing on here is maybe the distance between this line here, the width, and how it narrows. It's a sort of a gentle curve as it comes down toward the toes. Keep it kind of gentle, and then it gets quite straight here as it comes down towards the end of the toes. All of this stuff not so tricky, I don't think. Here comes the hard part. The toes. The big toe here is the one that's closest to us. Again, I'm not a master at this kind of stuff, so I'm just sort of doing my best. But it curves around up to a point here. And then it has this kind of, I hope this is showing up. It has these kind of two lines here, kind of straight here, and then kind of slanting down. It's like the toe is made up of a short line here and a slightly longer sloping line there. Then with the foot in this position, you can kind of get away with these other toes being kind of tucked behind. You're not really seeing them so much. And it's mainly that big toe that is what we're really seeing when the foot is in this position. So there you go. Maybe not the most beautiful foot ever drawn, but it's looking more like a real foot, hopefully, than before. This sort of arc here behind the heel, getting a sense of where that falls is just something you develop over time. It's closer to the heel than it is to the front. And then you'll see the sort of ankle. Finding where that belongs is also a bit of a trick. You certainly don't want it down near the bottom of the foot. You don't want to go too high up towards the calf or whatever that's called. You find over time this sort of perfect zone, hopefully, where that is going to be. I don't like to make that too dark. I'm going back in and sort of lightening it up a little. So there's that one, the easier of the 2 feet. Now comes the trickier of the two. Let's start over here. There's going to be a bit of a bump here, I think, for where that ankle is going to come in on this one. But let's not worry about that too much for right now. The line is coming straight down to a degree, and then, just like it did over here, it's curving off to the left. Very similar, really, to the heel over here. Only in this position, this line is not going to be horizontal. It's just dipping a little bit, slanting down just a little bit. Then you're going to have another line coming, kind of sloping down here and curving just a bit as you reach the area where the toes are going to be. I'm going to stop. The toes are probably the hardest part. I'm going to come over here. And this line, again, is sort of vertical, then gently sloping down at an angle. And you get a kind of a straight line that comes out here, the top of the foot. Now we get to where the toes are going to be. As I did with this toe over here, there's kind of two parts here, kind of a straight part here, then kind of coming down like this, curving to make the big toe. Then finally we can I would sort of put in a light box shape here where all these other 4 toes are going to go, because the foot kind of breaks into these 2 groups of the big toe and then the 4 other toes. And then you can just pretty much divide that into the 4 toes. I've done this in other videos. When you want to do perfectly the same, it's helpful to do the middle line here, because it's easy to see the middle, and then you find the middle of those other 2. And I'm kind of making these bend down a little bit. I mean, there's like 2 angles there. I don't know if it's showing up in the video, but. And then little by little, you just sort of curve the bottom for each toe. And there you have it, hopefully a reasonably good foot. I might go back in and sort of add a little more to this ankle here. But I think we've pretty much got it. Maybe add a little bit of a shade down here. This has ended up being so dark, actually, that I almost don't need the Prismacolor at this stage. At least for the purposes of the video, it's showing up almost as dark as the Prismacolor would. But hopefully I've taken you step by step through the process. Now, thankfully, since this is an erasable pencil, I'm looking at this toe, it's looking a little big to me, and I'm going to go back Couldn't have done that if it was the black Prismacolor for sure. And I'm going to make it a little smaller, which is the glory of using guidelines. You have that option. There you go. Now, a lot of people will probably look at this video and say, man, you're so slow. Well, I wouldn't draw like this every day using going this slowly, but in a video that's teaching people how to draw the human foot, I feel like, man, I better get this right. So I am, slowing way down and trying my very best to get every line in exactly the right spot. I don't know normally if I would be drawing quite as slow as this. But let's pull back and see how this looks when you see the feet attached to the body and see if we got it right. Alright, well, there she is, Miki, feet and all. I hope you found this video useful. I want to let you all know that next Tuesday, November 11th, the 10th book in the Akiko chapter book series, Akiko and the Missing Misp, is going to be in stores. I don't know how many of you read chapter books, this kind of thing. But if you have younger brothers and sisters who do, I would really appreciate it if you would keep an eye out for it. Some of you, I know, read these books when you were younger, so you might want to check that out, that newest book. The good news is I am done with my work on the enormous egg, and that frees me up to get some more videos done, hopefully at a faster pace than I have done recently. So that means I believe I can say truthfully this time, thanks for watching the video, and I will be back with another one real soon.